Come on, y'all. Hop on in. Once you get in here, don't act like I forced you to get in here because this has been a wild week. Once you get in here, you can't get out. All right? I don't want to hear no complaints about how fast this car is going or where we might be stopping. You are complicit once you get in here. This is a wild week. We got a lot to cover. I am Tasha Pierce. Welcome to the Weekly WrapUp. Before we get into the shenanigans, it's always fun to kind of laugh and joke and have fun. But this week, we lost a couple of true legends. And I've got to take a moment just to pay my respects, and hopefully you will be in the mood to pay your respect to these legends. James Earl Jones, the iconic voice that we all know and love, passed away September 9th at the age of 93. So he lived a very full and rich life. Mr. Jones had a career that spanned 6 decades with almost 200 credits to his name. From Darth Vader's chilling dulcet tones in Star Wars to Mufasa's wise counsel in The Lion King, James's voice was a gift that touched generations. And don't even get me started on not just his screen presence, but his stage presence. He was a force of nature. He captivated audiences on Broadway and beyond. He got 2 Tony Awards, an Emmy Award, a Grammy, an honorary Oscar. The man was an EGOT winner. This is a very rare territory for any performer. And of course, if any performer was going to fill the big shoes that it takes to be an EGOT winner, well, James Earl Jones was the person to do it. And it wasn't just his talent that made him special. He was a pioneer. He broke barriers and proved that a young man, a little old boy from rural Mississippi, could conquer Hollywood. He even had the Court Theater on Broadway renamed in his honor just last year. So this was some of the flowers that he was able to get before his passing. Now, here is something that is also both fascinating and a bit bittersweet. Before he passed, Mr. Jones worked with a company called Reese Feature to create an AI clone of his iconic Darth Vader voice. He wanted to make sure that his legacy lived on, that the character as we knew him lived on. And thanks to that technology, it will forever. It is a reminder that even though he is gone, his voice, his talent, his impact on the world is just going to continue to inspire us for generations to come. So rest in power, Mr. Jones. You will be missed. And before we switch gears, we have to talk about another icon that was lost this week. The day after Mr. Jones passed, Frankie Beverly of Frankie Beverly and Maze passed away at 77 years old. Frankie Beverly left behind a legacy of music that spoke to our souls. I'm talking about songs that got you on your feet, songs that made you smile, songs that reminded you of good times with your loved ones, Before I Let Go, Joy and Pain, Happy Feeling, Happy Feelings. These were not just songs, they were experiences. Frankie wasn't the flashiest performer. His lyrics were not always deep or complex, but his music had a magic to it. It was simple, joyful, and it just made you feel good. It was music for us, by us, and that is why he was so beloved in our community. A few years back, there was a Twitter poll, I don't know how many people will remember, where they asked who was the most blackfamous person ever of all times. And Frankie won that Twitter poll, hands down, because he might not have been a household name in other communities. Everybody wasn't listening to Frankie Beverly. Our white counterparts may not even know who Frankie Beverly is. But if you're one of my white counterparts and you know and appreciate Frankie's music, I have to assume that you've been to a cookout or two, right? Frankie Beverly to us was a superstar. He was ours. We shared him with others, but he was ours. His music brought us together. No matter our age, no matter our background, our walk of life, it was music for dancing, for laughing, for celebrating, for playing spades, for playing bid whist. It was the soundtrack to our happy moments. even when times were tough. I feel like I'm gonna cry. Look, I love Frankie Beverly. I loved his music. I had the honor of seeing him one time in concert, and it felt like that was like, that was my moment. I'm really grown. I'm at a Frankie Beverly concert. So if I'm a little bit more emotional here, it's because, man, I can still feel that feeling. So I apologize for feeling those feelings. And we're going to raise a glass, y'all, to Frankie Beverly, a true legend. Gave us so much joy. His music, of course, will live on. It will continue to remind us to cherish the good times, to love each other, and to always, always keep the happy feelings flowing. Rest in peace, Frankie. We will never, ever forget you. Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to go this week without talking about that incident, right? And everybody knows what incident I'm talking about. Last week, Shannon Sharpe, host of Nightcap, Club Shay Shay, co host of First Take, one of our favorite tight ends. Well, this sports media icon, he gave his Instagram followers a whole different kind of show. Now, it turns out this Shannon was engaged in some private time with a lady who we don't know. So stop trying to figure out who she is, y'all. That's so sick. Why would you even want to know who she is? But anyway, Shannon accidentally went live on Instagram while he was going to Pound Town with a lady. Now, at first, Shannon had no idea that he was live. Of course he didn't, because why would you go live when you have that much to lose as far as uh, your career that you've worked very hard to cultivate? You wouldn't go live on Instagram while you're having sex for cool points or anything else that you might have been able to do. That would be a huge mistake for somebody of his stature. He didn't know that he was live. His team found out, like many of us did, while we watched him. Well, we didn't see it. We didn't see it. We did hear it though. His team found out about it, and then they jumped into action by shutting the feed off and putting out a statement that said that Shannon's Instagram page had been hacked. Now, many of us, after that statement came out, was like, how the hell? How the hell did your page get hacked? When we can hear, Shannon Sharpe is much like Steve Harvey, much like a lot of these sportscasters who we listen to on a regular. They have a distinctive voice, and especially Shannon Sharpe. He's very, very southern. He's got a very country drawl to his voice, so we know that we heard him. So you can't blame it on hackers, Shannon. But what I liked about Shannon Sharpe is that his team put out that statement. But later that night, on Nightcap, he had an emergency session, kind of like that emergency session that he had earlier in the day. But I digress. Um, he came clean on his podcast. He was like, hey, that was me. You heard what you heard. I did what I did. That's what healthy people do. What I didn't mean to do is broadcast it for tens of thousands of people to see. We didn't all need to be there. So he spoke about being embarrassed. He said he was mortified. And honestly, who wouldn't be? Unless this is your thing that you go live, and I'm not knocking you, if that's your kink, knock yourself out. But I would be so embarrassed. This is a guy also, we think about Shannon Sharpe. He had just came down on Ocho Cinco a matter of days before about unprofessionalism. And he also, in almost that same episode, talked about how privately he carries himself, that he doesn't put everything out there for everybody. And then suddenly, his most intimate moment are on blast for the whole world to see. And he called up, of course, after he found out, because finally his team gets a hold of him and was like, hey, Shannon. So once he found out what had happened, after you get over the initial embarrassment, now you have to start trying to CYA. You got to go into your mode. You got to call your agent. You got to call your ESPN. You have to call all your bosses, people that you have to answer to. You have to give them a call and then have this really uh, tough conversation about what just happened. There are some people who believe that, hey, he did that on purpose because people were saying that he was gay. Look, Shannon Sharpe is 56 years old. He knows whether or not he's gay. He knows what his sexuality is. And at 56 years old, many of us are like, I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks about my private business, my sexuality. So why put something out to prove a point to people you don't even know? So I thought that was just a stupid thing to surmise that someone of the stature of Shannon Sharpe would have to do. But you still got to answer to somebody, right? About these. So he seems to be safe. It seems like he may have lost an advertiser or two, or however many. He may have lost some advertisers for Club Shay Shay and for Nightcap, but it's not enough for his career to be over. Folks were also comparing it to that Paul Pierce situation from a few years back. I think it's been a couple of years now. That was intentional, though. Paul Pierce intentionally went live on Instagram while he was engaging with some exotic dancers. And not sexual engagement, but the exotic dancers were doing things that were sexual in nature. He did that on purpose. This seems like a genuine accident on the behalf of Shannon Sharpe. So hopefully he's not going to face any more serious consequences than the ones that he has already found himself facing. But it's a good reminder, though, because see, a lot of us older people, we don't know as much about technology and some of the things that could happen when you just toss your phone on a bed. We already know, or at least I know, that any device in my room right now that is one of these speakers, I won't say her name, or that has a camera on it, any one of these devices can pick up what's going on in your room. So if you really, 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 really want to be safe, make sure that all of those devices are turned off, are not listening or watching while you engage in your grown folk stuff. But other than that, that's grown folk stuff, y'all. Grown folks, people do that. People do that. Let's talk about the next story, and then I'm going to tie these two stories together. Okay, so our next story is about 44-year-old Tiffany Haddish. Now, Tiffany Haddish is a comedian. She's always good for a laugh, right? But at times, I think she takes shit just a little too far. And this, I think, is one of those times because during New York Fashion Week, she crashed the runway uninvited. And the reason why she did it is because she was sitting next to Paris Hilton and her mama Kathy and them. And they dared her to walk on the runway. Now, mind you, Paris Hilton's mama dares Tiffany Haddish to get up on the runway and do the catwalk. In the meantime, Paris is videoing the whole thing, showing her mama, egging Tiffany on. Tiffany gets her dumb ass up and walks that catwalk while they laugh and point. And she has to realize at some point, these people are not laughing with you, they're laughing at you. You are the court jester at this point. Now, and a lot of times people will be like, oh, but the court jester can tell everybody the truth and whoop-de-whoop, but she's not using her platform for that. If people was laughing at her and she was in the meantime, in between the lines, telling them about themselves, that's one thing. But Tiffany Haddish keeps finding herself in positions where she is the butt of the joke. The online pundits are calling it disrespectful to the show, to the designer. Others are saying that, oh, it's just harmless fun. And to be fair, even the designer seemed to laugh about it, seemed to think it was funny. Tiffany, again, we tell our children, young kids, the minute our young children are able to have friends and be outside of our line of sight, we tell them, especially right after they've done something stupid. If your friend did this or that, would you do it too? Or if your friend asked you to jump off the top of the Empire State Building, would you do that? And most of the time, we make our point to our children. Tiffany is 44 years old. Where's her team? So, like, the immediate jump into action by Shannon Sharpe's team when this unfortunate incident happened, a team of people jumped into action to kind of mitigate the fallout from this. Where's Tiffany's team? Who is her friends? Does she have any friends? Tiffany is a little too old. I said Shannon Sharpe is 56 and he was doing what 56-year-olds, and because believe it or not, if you're fortunate enough to still have Mima and Papa, every now and then they're getting freaky. So that is a normal part of adulthood. Part of being grown is not sitting at a prestigious event, finding somebody who will dare you to do some dumb shit and then doing it. That's not part of being an adult. Now, facing the consequences for doing dumb shit is part of being an adult. I don't know if there will be any consequences for her, but she's too old to be getting into these shenanigans. It's starting to feel like she has no impulse control, that she needs to talk to somebody, to see somebody. And I'm not trying to be funny here. That, some people think it's cute to not have a filter in your 40s. That's not cute. There are certain situations that calls for you to conduct yourself in a manner with some decorum. And Tiffany seems to have a problem differentiating. When is it time to be funny and when is it time to just be? When other people are daring you to do shit they won't do themselves, it's because you are a mark. And look, arguably, and this is arguable because I don't like her, even her brand of humor most of the time, but I know she has her fans. So you're talented, you're funny. You don't need to be the court jester. You don't need to be the stooge. It's time to just learn when to say no and focus, laser focus on what is going to help you get to the next level in Hollywood, if that's what you want to do. What is going to set you up for success in your old age? Because when you're older, you don't want to be on that list where nobody F's with you because they don't know what you're going to do. You're too unpredictable. So I said, in this situation, Tiffany Haddish was used as a fucking joke at New York Fashion Week by Kathy and Paris Hilton. And Shannon Sharpe had sex and people heard it on Instagram Live. Which one of these people should be more embarrassed? I'm going to tell you. I think Shannon Sharpe is more embarrassed, but I know Tiffany Haddish should be the one that's more embarrassed. Because Shannon Sharpe, at the end of the day, that's some shit that can happen to anybody. Any one of us can toss our phone on the bed or toss your phone on the counter and it can pick up you in the middle of a conversation that you didn't want anybody else to hear, in the middle of an activity that you didn't want anybody else to hear. Any of that can happen to any person at any time. But it takes a special kind of fool to get dared to get up on a catwalk and walk because somebody dared you to do it. That takes a special kind of fool. You should be embarrassed, Tiffany. I'm embarrassed for you. But it's not enough for me to be embarrassed for you. You got to be embarrassed for yourself. Shannon, you all right with me, brother. You probably got about 1 million new women followers on your Instagram from that one thing. Now, this is not to say that if there's consequences, he shouldn't have to face them. Consequences, you should have to face them. But that's some shit that can happen to anybody. I mean, that's it. I'm through. I'm going to get off my soapbox. But Tiffany Haddish is really getting under my skin here this last, say, 12 to 18 months. I have really had it up to here with Tiffany Haddish. So you guys let me know what you think about this situation, both of them, in the comments, and who should be more embarrassed, Tiffany or Shannon? Let me know in the comments. Let's move on to the next story. Before I go any further, I'd like to say a very big thank you to my patrons and channel members. You see them flowing across your screen right now. Thank you guys for keeping the lights on around here. If you too would like to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/Tasha Pierce, or you can click that join button right here on this here video. Or maybe you might just want to send me a one-time donation via Super Thanks or Cash App. All of those will be down in the description. Thank you so much. Moving on. Get ready to mark your calendars, y'all, because the Super Bowl 59, is it 59? 59 halftime show is going to be lit because Kendrick Lamar is taking the stage in New Orleans, and we all know he's going to bring the house down. Now, this is his second time at the Super Bowl. This time, he's the headlining act. The first time, he came on with that iconic Dr. Dre set. At, I think it was Super Bowl 57? Could have been 57. It could be, yeah, 50, it might have been. I don't remember what Super Bowl. A couple years back, though. Now, I know some of y'all are going to be like, wait a minute now. Super Bowl's in New Orleans, and there is a prolific rapper that is from the city of New Orleans, why he's not representing the NOLA. And I'm going to tell you that you are not alone. Many people, probably including this artist himself, thought that Lil Wayne was going to be the headlining act at the Super Bowl. But let's be real, Kendrick is having a year, especially when we factor in the success of his recent beef with Drake, who is a Lil Wayne protege. Kendrick is hot right now. He is what people have been talking about pretty much since he dropped Not Like Us and Like That. He's a 17-time Grammy winner, and he's won the first non-classical, non-jazz Pulitzer Prize in music. This man is an icon. Many will say that Wayne has the discography to do the Super Bowl, to headline the Super Bowl, and for the event to be something special. But to me, which Wayne is going to show up? Is it going to be the Wayne who knows the lyrics to his songs? Is it going to be a sober Wayne? I think all of those things kind of factor in, even though it hurts me that his feelings were hurt behind this, because he has come out and said that it broke him. And I understand. This is your hometown. This was something that he wanted. He wanted to represent New Orleans at Super Bowl 59. But I think that there is too much of a chance of things going wrong. But this is not going to take away from the fact that we're going to have a fantastic halftime show. Kendrick's company, PG Lang, is handling the creative direction. So you can expect something kind of special. We've seen what they've done with the videos. We've seen what was even done during the set where he did his piece on the Dre set. So I believe that we're going to be very well entertained for Super Bowl 59. Last year's halftime show with Usher was the most watched ever. And we've had people like Prince. We've had people like Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Katy Perry. These are people who have already headlined. The show with Usher was the most watched ever. Now, some of it could be because we had Taylor Swift hanging around in the stands. The proof in whether or not Kendrick was ready for this moment will be in how many eyes are on this performance. And I think he's up for the challenge. I do believe that he's going to do a fantastic job at Super Bowl 59. I don't think that Lil Wayne had stepped outside of his own bounds by expecting to be the headlining act, but I do believe that some of his own past behavior may have contributed to the fact that he didn't get it. A lot of people are laying the blame solely at the feet of Jay-Z and Roc Nation, who advise on the halftime show. They do make a short list of artists. Wayne was on that short list of artists, but the way I understand it, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it is that short list is then turned over to the city, and the city of New Orleans chose Kendrick. So when the city that you're from goes with an artist that not only is not from New Orleans, but is also beefing with a member of your entourage, it's telling me that they don't have faith in the artist. And I feel strange saying that because I'm not from New Orleans. Somebody from New Orleans will sound off in the comments and let me know if I'm on the right track. I think that since Kendrick was chosen, and if you are a fan of hip hop, that you will be tuned in on February 9th, 2025 on Fox. And we're going to get ready for a halftime show that's going to be talked about hopefully for years to come. This is going to be probably one for the history books. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you thought of the selection of Kendrick Lamar for Super Bowl 59. And if you feel Lil Wayne got snubbed, or if you'd like to have seen somebody different, totally put that down in the comments and we gonna move on. All right, so now we're gonna jump into some movie news. We've got some exciting news for Venom: The Last Dance, which is hitting theaters in China on October 23rd. That's right, just 2 days before this U.S. release, it is getting a release in China. Now, this is the third and final installment in the Venom trilogy, which is starring our man, Tom Hardy. Now, remember how the first Venom movie absolutely killed it in China back in 2018? It raked in almost $270 million. So yeah, they're hoping for another big payday with this one. Sadly, the second movie, Venom: Let There Be Carnage, didn't get a theatrical release in China. So people there have been waiting a while for the next installment of a Venom movie. And from what I hear, this time Eddie and Venom are on the run and facing some tough life choices. This one is directed by Kelly Marcel, who also co-wrote the screenplay along with Tom Hardy himself. So that's a dynamic duo. Besides the dynamic duo of Eddie Brock and Venom, you have Kelly Marcel and Tom Hardy. Plus, we got Chiwetel Ejiofor and Juno Temple, who have also joined the cast. So you know the acting's going to be kind of top notch. Now, it didn't. The second installment didn't get that China release. We have no idea how it would have performed in China, and U.S. films have not been being released in China, and sometimes here when they haven't been performing so well. But there's new hope because again, we talked about Alien Romulus, which just crossed $100 million in China. So the market's definitely still hungry for some good movies. Plus, the first two Venom films had very strong October openings here in the States. But everybody who has got some skin in the game is very excited about this China release for Venom: The Last Dance. So we're gonna mark our calendars for October 25th. This one looks like it's gonna be another wild ride. It also seems like we were getting some speculation about who might be directing the next Spider-Man movie. Looks like all of our speculation was wrong because rumor has it that Destin Daniel Cretton, the man behind the amazing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, is in talks to direct the next installment in the Spider-Man franchise. Now, he's apparently the top choice to take over from John Watts, who directed the last three Spidey flicks. Don't get too excited yet. We still haven't heard any confirmation on this. Deals for Tom Holland and Zendaya to return as Peter Parker and MJ haven't been finalized just yet. But you know that if there's an opportunity to make this money again, they're going to be back swinging into action very soon. The script's been making a lot of serious progress, and they are already meeting with these potential directors. Now, Cretton already has a great relationship with Marvel, and after the success of Shang-Chi, it's no surprise that they want him back for more. He's also got an overall deal with them, so we'll be seeing a lot more of his work in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, including some episodes of Wonder Man. This is the upcoming series that's starring Yaya. Y'all know Yaya. I can't remember everything, the whole name, but Yaya. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Now, we don't have any details on the plot of Spider-Man just yet. We've heard those little rumblings that there might be a multiverse angle to this whole thing. But with Cretton at the helm, you know it's going to be something special. We're probably going to be looking at some very good fight choreography. And then we still have Amy Pascal from Sony and Kevin Feige back as producers, still working together. We can expect probably the same level of quality and excitement we've come to expect from these Spider-Man movies. A little bit different than what we've come to expect from the Sony Spider-Verse, except for the animation. The animation there is fantastic, but those live action movies have not been received very well, and I think that's an understatement. But Kevin Feige is part of this production, so you know we can expect for him to kind of keep it on track. So there you have it. While Sony and Marvel are staying tight-lipped for now, it sounds like things are moving forward for this next movie and this next Spider-Man adventure. For one, I cannot wait to see what they have in store for us. While we hear about this multiverse angle, I really do hope that we do get to see some street level stuff in there as well. So tell me in the comments what you're hoping for with the Spider-Man movie, and if Destin Daniel Cretton is a good pick for a director to you. Let me know down in the comments and we'll move on. And speaking of the live action Spider-Verse universe from Sony, hold on to your hats because we're about to swing into a whole new corner of that Marvel universe. Get ready for Spider Noir. Now, this ain't your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, folks. We're talking 1930s New York, a gritty noir-style world where an older, wiser Spider-Man is grappling with his past life as a superhero. He's traded into spandex for a trench coat and fedora, and he's back to slinging webs of intrigue, that is, as a private investigator. And who better to play this seasoned Spidey than the one, the only, Nicolas Cage? Now, you'll remember that Nicolas Cage also voiced the animated version of this character in the Spider-Verse franchise, the Across the Spider-Verse, Beyond the Spider-Verse, 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 you know, with Miles. But anyway, you know he's going to bring the intensity and the unexpected to the role in live action. Plus, we got some legendary actors working with them. Brendan Gleeson is playing a mob boss, and this ain't going to be no cartoon villain. This is going to be dark, dangerous, and oh so deliciously sinister. At least that's what I'm told. And then also, hold on again, because the cast just keeps getting better. Jack Houston, who you might recognize from Boardwalk Empire, is also stepping into this shadowy world, reportedly playing a bodyguard in this series. And we've got Lamorne Morris bringing some of that new girl charm. Abraham Papula, I think I said that right. Put it here. It'll be there. And the talented Lee Jun Lee is rounding out this stellar cast. This is not going to be a typical Marvel flick specifically from the Sony side of things. We are expecting a more mature, a more grounded take on the Spider-Man mythos. Think crime, think corruption, and a hero wrestling with his own demons. You know what it kind of reminds me of? That Batman Cape Crusader cartoon that came on Amazon Prime. That was fantastic to be. Some other people may not have liked it. I loved it. That is what this Spider Noir is making me feel like. It's making me feel like a live action type of that. And this is also coming on Amazon Prime. So keep your eyes peeled on Prime Video and MGM Plus because we don't know an official release date yet. This is the first live action adaptation of the Spider Noir character. And with this talented cast and a unique premise that we've got so far, it's shaping up to be something truly, truly special. So I think we should keep our eyes open. Of course, you want to come back here regularly, and I will keep you apprised of when we are getting a date for this project. I cannot wait. All right, and now we're going to get into some box office buzz. First and foremost, we know that Beetlejuice premiered last week to a big, huge $111 million opening weekend. There's nobody going to mess with that movie right now. That movie is fine. In fact, it is slated to do another $50 million this weekend, but those numbers are not final. I'll have more final numbers with the next weekly wrap up. It doesn't have to make a whole lot of money to be successful. It's that movie with James McAvoy in it called Speak No Evil. It is a remake of a Dutch film that came out maybe a couple years ago. It's a kind of creepy psychological thriller horror type movie, and it is not doing doorbusters, but it doesn't have to make that much because I think it only costs maybe $15 to $20 million to film. So if it has such a small budget, it doesn't take a lot of money to make that movie successful. And it came out this weekend, and I'm very interested in that movie. If I was able to leave the house, that would be one that I would go see. Now, there are some other flicks that are coming your way that I think you won't want to miss. Get your calendars ready because I have some suggestions for you. First up, for those of you who are in a mood for a little coming of age story with a twist, we've got My Old Ass hitting theaters today. Well, yesterday. By the time you see this, it would have been this past weekend. Let me just read that over. For those of you who are in the mood for a little coming of age story with a twist, we got My Old Ass that hit theaters this weekend. So imagine tripping on mushrooms for your 18th birthday and having a heart-to-heart conversation with your 39-year-old self. I think that would be fantastic. As a matter of fact, I would like to trip on mushrooms for my 52nd birthday and have a heart-to-heart with my 100-year-old self. But this movie is like a wild ride of self-discovery, regrets, and a few laughs. And it's got me curious. I'm going to add it to my watch list. Next up, on September 20th, we got a double dose of drama and suspense. So if you like a good action thriller, Wolves is the one for you. In Wolves, you have Brad Pitt and you have George Clooney, and they are working together. A fixer's simple job turns into a chaotic nightmare when he has to team up with an unexpected partner. This one promises to be full of twists and turns. Again, Brad Pitt, George Clooney. It doesn't get much better than that as far as what you won't see in this movie. Premiering on the 20th is one I'm far more interested in, and I'm interested in Wolves. I am interested in Wolves, but I really want to see The Substance. That one is premiering on the 20th. It has Demi Moore in it, and this one sounds absolutely fascinating. Elizabeth Sparkle, the queen of aerobics, loses her job on her 50th birthday. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and she turns to a mysterious substance that promises to make her younger and better than ever. Remember what they said in Marvel, you fuck with time, it tends to fuck back. This one is, again, something I think is hollering at me because of the 50-year-old knock, 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 people trying to turn back the hands of time. Again, when you mess with time, it tends to mess back, and I truly want to see the substance. I've been hearing big things, and I've even been hearing some awards buzz surrounding Demi Moore for this one. So there you have it for the big screen. Those are a few exciting options to keep you entertained at the movies this weekend and next. And if you manage to catch any of these films, please let me know what you thought in the comments. I will look forward to hearing your thoughts. And now settle in because it's time for our weekly dose of what's hot on the small screen. We got a mix of true crime, superhero action, family drama, and a little something for the Marvel fans. So let's dive in. First up, if you're in the mood for a chilling true crime story, Hulu's got you covered with American sports story Aaron Hernandez. This one is starting on September 17th, and it dives into the troubled life of former NFL superstar Aaron Hernandez. It is a story that if you don't know all the details already, it's going to have you on the edge of your seat, and it might even make you feel sorry for this kid. It's going to have you questioning a lot of the things that you thought you knew about the Aaron Hernandez case. So that is one for our true crime heads. Next up, Marvel fans, rejoice! Agatha All Along is finally hitting Disney Plus on September 18th. We get to go behind the scenes of WandaVision, find out how the iconic villain, Agatha, number one, how she breaks the hex that Wanda left her in at the end of WandaVision. But number two, what kind of road to redemption will we find her on in this series? Catherine Hahn is coming back, and you know she's going to bring all the same sass and the same magic that she brought to Agatha in WandaVision. I am so excited about this series. Then, for those who are craving some gritty super villain action, I mean, I guess Agatha is a super villain as well, but we got another super villain action series coming out, and this is called The Penguin. He's waddling on to Max on September 19th. So Colin Farrell is reprising his role as the iconic Batman villain in this series. This series is centering upon him. There will be no signs of the Caped Crusader. This is going to promise to be a dark, intense, Sopranos-like series, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what else Colin has in the tank for Oz and his Oswald Cobblepot. But in this series, it seems that they're going to be calling him Oz. I'm looking forward to this one too. Finally, if you're looking for a juicy family drama, Netflix has got you covered with His Three Daughters on September 20th. We got Elizabeth Olsen in this. So we had the whole Agatha All Along because Elizabeth Olsen plays WandaVision. She's not going to be playing WandaVision. She's going to be playing in His Three Daughters on Netflix on September 20th. This one is all about a powerful family with secrets that threaten to tear them all apart. So I love a good family drama. Love it, love it, love it. This one is definitely on my list. I cannot wait. Also has awards buzz all around it. So I am really looking forward to seeing what Netflix has in store for us with His Three Daughters. And that's it for this week's streaming picks. So don't forget, grab your popcorn, settle into your favorite spot on the couch, and get ready for some binge-worthy content. And let me know if you've watched any of these series, if you're going to continue watching them, or if you're going to give up, or if you watched this streaming movie, His Three Daughters. Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments. That is a wrap on this week's wrap up. But hey guys, do me a favor because I'm putting a lot of work into the weekly wrap up and I'm trying to make sure that I get it out to you every week. So if you can do me a favor, if there is anyone that you know that you think will be entertained by my take on this week in entertainment, please share this with them. And if you've not yet done so, please hit the subscribe button. I really want to get to 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I know it's a big ask, but please do that for me. Also, make sure that you're dropping comments down in the comment section below because I love to hear what you think about all of these topics. You know, do the YouTube stuff, hit the like button, turn on your notifications. If you want to support the channel, look in the description. There are a myriad of ways of doing that. And yeah, join me back here next week, Monday, for the next installment of the Weekly Wrap Up. You will not want to miss it. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.